Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Zakia, and I am the owner and maker of YOLO Mommy. Today I'm going to be showing you how I created this half glitter, half vinyl tumbler. So if you're new to my channel, please like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below what type of videos you would like to see on this channel. As usual, all of the materials in the video will be listed in the description down below. So, y'all know what time it is. Let's get into it. You want to start with a fully prepped and sanded cup. I have a piece of paper here that I'm just going to place my tumbler on top of and kind of just outline the bottom of the tumbler. I'm doing this so I can create just kind of like a guide for me to measure out the halfway mark on my tumbler. Once I get that circle cut out, I just want to place it on the top just to make sure that it covers the bottom of the tumbler. Then I'm going to fold it in half and just measure out the bottom part of the tumbler. As you can see here, I'm just going to use this as a guide to mark off the halfway point on the tumbler. I'm just going to take a pencil and just mark that off. Once I have measured off the bottom, I'm going to use my square ruler to draw a line from the top to the bottom of the tumbler so I'll know exactly where I'm going to place my painter's tape to mask off half section of the tumbler. After I have my lines drawn on the cup or my halfway mark, you'll see me here just masking off that half section of the tumbler using my painter's tape. Okay, once I have that half section masked off, I'm going to take my adhesive vinyl and just kind of wrap it around the tumbler just to see exactly where I need to cut and how much vinyl I need to use. Sorry about my head, guys, I couldn't see. Once I have my line drawn on the paper, I'm going to just cut off the portion that I'm going to use for the half section. Okay, once we have all of our excess vinyl trimmed off, we want to just fold back a small portion of that backing so we can apply our vinyl in a straight line on our tumbler. Make sure you don't pull the entire backing off just yet. You want to go ahead and place that vinyl on top of the tumbler using your painter's tape as a guide for a straight line. You just want to place your vinyl right up against that tumbler and press down on it. Okay, I'm going to use my little scraper tool to help me press the vinyl down as I go around the tumbler. I'm going to cut off that excess backing that we fold back in the beginning when we created our straight line. So I'm going to use my scraper tool. You'll see me here just kind of pressing down on the vinyl as I go around the tumbler. Okay, sometimes after I use the scraper tool, I just kind of want to use my hands to just make sure that I am pressing that vinyl down really good. I just kind of use my hands to get out some of the creases and some of the bubbles that's building up in the vinyl. So I just want to press down real hard as I go around the tumbler just to make sure that I'm not getting any air bubbles inside of my vinyl. Once I have that vinyl all attached to that half section, I kind of noticed that I had some bubbles inside of my vinyl. So in order to get rid of the bubbles, You just want to take your craft knife or something that's very sharp and just kind of poke a small hole in those bubbles and kind of just rub it out, and that will get rid of those air bubbles that you have inside of your vinyl. After I have all of the bubbles out of the vinyl and it's nice and smooth down, I'm going to use my cutting tool to cut off the bottom portion of the tumbler. I've used this cutting tool before in a previous video. I will link it again below in the description. I have that bottom trimmed off. I'm going to go ahead and take off my painter's tape. I'm using that same painter's tape. I'm going to go ahead and mask off our vinyl section of the tumbler. That way we don't get any epoxy on that section once we start to epoxy and glitter. Okay, once we have our vinyl all masked off on that section of the tumbler, we're going to use the epoxy method to glitter. Today, I'm going to be using Chunky Parabate. I'm probably not saying that right, but it's from Peachy Olive Glitters. And I'm also going to be using Flurries from Peachy Olive Glitters, which is a fine cut glitter. I have mixed about 5 milliliters of epoxy. I'll probably only use about 1 to 2 milliliters to cover this section of the cup. I'm going to apply a very thin coat of epoxy to glitter. I just want to get that all over the bottom and the half section of the cup. The first glitter that I'm going to be using is the Chunky. No rhyme or reason. We just want to apply that to our tumbler and get full coverage all over that half section. I'm also going to be using the fine cut glitter to the bottom and to fill in any of the little spaces that we may have missed in the chunky glitter. After we have applied all of our glitter, we just want to take a small piece of parchment paper and just kind of pat down any of those large chunky pieces that are poking out. Now it's time for our first coat of epoxy. I have mixed about 30 milliliters of Alumilite's Quick Coat, and we're just going to apply our epoxy as normal. Once our epoxy has dried, we're just going to go ahead and do our normal sanding. I'm also going to sand the rim of the cup so our epoxy has something to adhere to during our final coats of epoxy. Once you have completed your sanding, you want to go ahead and rinse your cup with dish soap and water. And now it is time for us to apply our decals. This particular decal, this leopard print decal, I purchased it from Etsy from Bear Trends Digi Designs. I will link her shop down below. When I apply my leopard spots, sometimes I use transfer tape and sometimes I just prefer to just layer them on by hand. It kind of depends on the design that I'm going for. So I'm going to just kind of lift these up and place them on my tumbler one by one. Okay, once I had all of my spots down, I wanted to go ahead and finish this design with some vinyl strips. I cut these strips out on my Cricut machine using the Shapes tool, and I have the dimensions down below. If you'd like to see exactly how I created these strips, please just leave a message down in the comments below, and I'll make a video to show you exactly how I create these strips. Once I had all of my vinyl work done, I went ahead and applied some polycrylic quick coat from Counterculture's DIY to my tumbler, just so I can lay all of that vinyl work down and it won't move or bubble up once I go to add my epoxy. I let that polycrylic dry on my tumbler for about 45 minutes to an hour before I applied my next coat of epoxy. After my epoxy dried, I wanted to go ahead and add my last decal to my tumbler. I created this design using the offset feature on the Cricut Design Space. Now it's time for our final coats of epoxy. I'm using the Alumilites Clear Cast Plus for my final coats of epoxy. I mixed about 30 milliliters of epoxy for my final coats. This tumbler took about 2 coats before it was finished and nice and smooth. I'm loving the way that this turned out. Everything is so vibrant, and of course, you know I love that leopard print. If you like this video and would like to see more videos like it, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.